next measure of central tendency that we're going to look at is called the median. And the median, by definition, is essentially the middle of the data when the data items are ordered. Okay, listed in order, lowest to greatest, greatest to lowest, doesn't matter the order. Now there's a little bit of a detail here that needs to be sorted out based upon whether the data set has an even or odd number of data items in it. And so if you have an odd number of data items, when you list them all out in order, there's going to be one exactly in the middle where you have the same number on either side of it. Okay, that's going to be your median. Now if you have an even number of data items like we do in this example, there isn't actually an exact middle of the list when you list them all out in order. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the two that are the closest to the middle, the two that are in the middle, and you're going to find their mean. Okay, sometimes they're the same item, the same value, and so you just use that value. If they're not the same value, then you have to add them and divide by 2 essentially to find their mean. Okay, and that will be, the median will be the mean of those two values. All right, so we'll practice that. In this example here, what we need to do is to list out all of the items in order. I'll go from lowest to highest, okay? And so this is a little bit tedious, especially you have 18 values here, but imagine doing this if you had 150 values or something like that. It's a lot to do. And there are some shortcuts. We'll look at a shortcut with a frequency distribution here in a moment. But so the median, we're just going to list them out. I know the lowest one is 16, followed by a 17, followed by a bunch of 18s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18s. There's a 19, 19, 19, and 19. Next would be 20. There's one of those. There's a couple 21s. Let's see, there's a couple 22s. There's a 25 and a 32. Ooh, perfect. Got them all in one row. All right, there's all 18, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There it is, perfect. And so what we're going to do is we're going to identify the two that are in the middle, because again, this is an even number in that list, okay? So there's a couple ways to do this. One is you can just start on the ends and eliminate until you get to one in the middle. That's nice if you only have 10 or less maybe, but here this is a decent list. So what you could do is you can basically take the 18 and divide by 2 and you get 9, right? And so what that means is that you're going to have, there's going to be a spot in here where there's 9 on either side. So if you take the 9th and 10th, essentially, the 9th and 10th items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So those two items there, those are the two that are in the middle. So from that spot, so if you ignore those two, they're going to be 7 to the left and 7 to the right, okay? And so the actual median is the average of those two. It's the number that, you can kind of think about it as the number in between them. Right now in this case, they're the same. Right? So they're the same number. So if you add them and divide by 2, you just get 19 again. If they weren't the same number, if they were 19 and 21, for instance, then 20 would be the median, right? The average of the two. So it just depends on what those two values are. It doesn't have to be a data value itself. If they were 19 and 20, the average would be 19.5. That would be your median, okay? So whatever it is, you average those two out. So in this case, it's 19 plus 19. I'll do it just because, oh boy, that's all squished. Just to be formal here, but of course, it's obvious what the answer is going to be. So it's 19 plus 19 over 2, which is 19, right? 38 over 2. So 19 is the median in this case. And again, if you had an odd number of data items, then there's going to be one that's exactly in the middle, right? So if I had, let's say I had 15 of these things, then the eighth one will be exactly in the middle. The eighth one's in the middle, there will be 7 on either side if it was 15 in length, right? 7 and 7 will make 14, and then the one in the middle, the eighth one, would make 15 total items, okay? So it's always the one in the middle. But in this case, you take the 2 that are in the middle and average them. Now this can also be done with the frequency distribution. And so what you could do with the frequency distribution is just kind of eliminate them. You have them kind of condensed here. So you could take 1, 1, 1, 1, 2 here. This has 5, so I've got it, instead of 5, maybe I'll back off. There's 5 here, I need 5 taken off the other end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 4, so everything else is right here on the 19. So the median is going to be in the 19 there. If you kind of work this backwards until you till your fingers meet, and then wherever you're at is going to be the middle. Okay, so just kind of a trick. You can get an idea of that, how to do that. But again, it's different whether it's an even number of data items versus an odd number of data items. So an odd number of data items, the median is actually the data item in the center. If it's an even number of data items, it's going to be the mean of the 2 in the center.